Hi, this is Michael Adams for CEORoaster and Stock Telegraph. And yeah, you guys might remember that I did one interview with Sassy Resources, I think like 2 weeks ago, as a player in the Central Newfoundland Gold Belt. It's still tough for me to pronounce it. But anyway, and we had a really good interview. But I got aware of another company. It's called TRU Precious Metals. Just actually recently, like 2 weeks ago, continued to start trading or started on the TSX Venture. The symbol on the TSX Venture is TRU, and it's also listed on the Frankfurt and some other German exchanges. The German symbol is 706, and the WKN number is A2QE59. But as usual, I will put that somewhere around this video. And yeah, now it's my great pleasure to introduce Joel Freudman. He's you have several titles. You're co-founder, director, president, CEO
Yeah, you
of,
covered.
of the company. So welcome to the stage. It's my pleasure. To start off, because it's our first video interview, you might want to give us kind of a little bit of background about yourself, please.
Sure. Danke and Guten Tag to all your viewers. That's a little bits of German I know. My name is Joel Freudman. I've co-founded TRU Precious Metals, but also run the company with a team we're building out. My background is actually as a securities and mergers lawyer by training, as well as spent several years as an in-house lawyer at large financial institutions here in Canada, one of which was Royal Bank. So kind of a really good section of legal, corporate governance, and corporate finance, from corporate setup through to raising capital, through to running public companies. And here I am today.
So, and what brought you to especially the resource sector, but in more specific, what brought you to found TRU?
Sure. The resources sector is, when I was in private practice, we used to work with a lot of junior mining companies. So I do have years of experience working with junior TSX Venture listed mining companies, mineral exploration companies.
Okay.
So it's a good place to start. But in addition, we are kind of I've been running this company for a predecessor of this company for a couple of years. And it was mid last year, we're saying, what can we do to really activate the company? It was a bit more inactive. How can we really get things going here? And that was right around the time a company called Newfound Gold was going public, around last August. And we said, well, we should probably pick up mineral properties in Newfoundland. We think there's going to be good runway there in terms of a lot of exploration, discovery, excitement over the next months and years, given the program that was being proposed and the gold that had been found to date, or the drilling that had been done to date. So we embarked on like a very aggressive M&A program in resources. Given my background, a number of our co-founders and initial team also have significant mineral exploration experience. So we had, a starter team in place, starter property or two in the package. And we just said, okay, like let's let her rip. We're early, relatively early, getting into Newfoundland in terms of the land rush going. It's a real gold rush going on there.
Yeah.
We should see how quickly we can build out the company. And so between last August, September, and now, we've gone from, I think, probably like a 2 million market cap to 22 million market cap. We have 5 properties in the portfolio. TSX listed investor, as a TSX listed company, as our largest shareholder. We have institutional investors. We have probably 15 people on the team. We closed a $3.5 million oversubscribed financing a couple months ago. We're currently raising another $3.5 million flow through, which is tax advantaged mining funding for exploration.
Yeah.
So it's taken on a bit of a life of its own and snowballed here. But it's a very exciting space to be in. We're fortunate to be there, and I'm lucky to be able to draw on my legal, governance, mineral resources, and corporate finance experience over the course of my career to be in the chair now and kind of run the company.
Okay, cool. Yeah, before we really dig into the presentation and talk about the details, what's the connection to Resurgent Capital? Is that kind of an incubator, or what's the connection between TRU and Resurgent Capital?
Resurgent incubator is a good way to describe it. Resurgent is the merchant bank I founded about 5 years ago, and I currently run with a partner of mine. We build real companies and we help take real companies public. That's our model. So we do things like restructuring broken down shell companies, initial public offerings, reverse takeovers, deal execution. Resurgent is one of the founding shareholders of TRU Precious Metals. We still have a 5% stake in the company, which I think is meaningful both from a dollar perspective, but also from an ownership perspective, given the securities issued for our property deals. And our business is just getting companies public and helping them grow as public companies. And so it's a pretty cool role to be in here. And I've got a fortunate seat as running Resurgent Capital and also running TRU, which is far and away the largest portfolio company and certainly more than a full-time job at this point.
Okay. Is there anything any other reference companies that you can mention, or is this all confidential? Or what have been some of the successes?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in terms of some successes, I also run Holly Street Capital, which is a capital pool company. It's a purpose-built shell vehicle. So it's set up to help bring companies public. That's kind of a side project, which I don't devote a ton of time to right now, but it is another kind of avenue to work with people in the public company space. Maybe in terms of something a little more visible, there's a company called IM Exploration. I was the CEO from pre-IPO through to earlier this year in February, when I stepped down from the role in order to focus on TRU. That company recently, within the last couple of months, IM Exploration, it's on the CSE here in Canada, they've raised, I think over $1 million recently, starting to consolidate gold properties in Nevada. And so I transitioned from CEO to chairman, and now I'm just doing a bit of consulting for them when they need my help. So, that's a pretty cool build out as well that we've been involved in. And I think, those are probably some decent names. It's like you say, it's kind of more incubator. Our job is really help set the companies up to flourish and either bring in scale up the management team or find an exit strategy for the company. And so I think it's an interesting business to be in, and we're certainly picking up momentum the last couple of years.
Okay. No, sounds good. Let's dig into the presentation. I will bring it up. And kind of the overall question is, and this Central Newfoundland Gold Belt is very.
You got it.
It's pretty tough. It's pretty much hyped right now. It's kind of the second best or most active, let's say, sector or area besides SK Camp, I guess. In BC, one of the hot places to be. And so, what is this hype all about? It all started, as you pointed out, with newfound gold, right? And then there was an inflow of numerous companies. I don't even know how many companies now have some smaller claims, bigger claims there. Yeah, you already mentioned a couple of them. It's Marathon, it's Exploits, it's Sassy, it's Matador, and Metals Creek just came in. Yeah, so everybody seems to try to stake some ground there. Some of them, like Sassy, they're like the biggest landholder. That's what they at least said in their press release. You have companies that already have really good drill results. You have companies that, like Exploits, they just got their permit and will start drilling really soon. So what's kind of the USP? What's the speciality about TRU Precious Metals? Why should investors consider to sell all their newfound? No, sorry, I didn't say that. So why should they consider in addition to some of their other companies they're invested in, why should they buy into TRU Precious Metals?
I'll start off by saying you've got a really good handle on what's going on in the gold belt. That's for sure.
Thanks.
I mean, can I dive right to slides here? I think that might kind of help some of the audience here. So just on one of the first things you said, and I'm not sure how clearly visible this map is, but you don't even need to be able to read it, frankly. This is the Central Newfoundland Gold Belt, this image on the screen here. And just by the sheer number of colors and boxes, this is a list put together by Exploits, who's active in the region.
This is why they have the big red signs. So they pop out.
That is why they have to stand out, because there's got to be easily 40 plus. I think there's probably around 40 plus public and some private companies exploring in the Central Newfoundland Gold Belt. So it's real modern day gold rush, which I think is something very neat to be a part of. In terms of, what does TRU have that's special? Because it's very much the right question. People are asking, how should I choose to invest? There's a lot of options out there. Stakeholders and employees are asking what company would I want to work for. Strategic investors are saying, who should I invest with?
No, actually, Joel, you can do it like Eric Sprott, just be all over the place, like 2 million there, 5 million there. That's what Sprott is doing right now, right?
I mean, if we had a sure, so we're going to be welcoming him to the shareholder base soon as well. So we're very fortunate to secure an investment from him, a meaningful one for $2 million, as well as some other institutions. If I had $1 billion, I would probably do the same thing and just buy half of Newfoundland.
Yeah.
We're not that far along yet, although we can dream. But I think in terms of what's really a standout is the location of our properties. Now, I talk about this in interviews. I talk about this with investors, with people on our team, especially on the exploration side. All the companies can market and say, I think it really comes down to geology ultimately. Mm-hmm. If you're going to bet on a company, if you're going to invest on a company and put in like your hard-earned money saying, I hope this company does well, what's key is like one, the team, because you want them to be good stewards of capital and effective in how they deploy that capital to generate returns. And number two is properties, because no one can duplicate the properties. Even if you have a bunch of good teams, no one can copy the location of your properties. Mm-hmm. And so I think actually this slide's pretty, I don't know that this slide says it all, but this slide's a really good one to point to. I don't know if you can see the mouse moving, but it's, what's important is there's a blue line here that runs through. This is called the Valentine Lake Cape Ray Shear Zone. And it's like this geological feature called the structural corridor. It's a line that goes through the Central Newfoundland Gold Belt. Mm-hmm. And this line, this geological feature, we know there's gold there. And it's not like we hope there's some gold. There's actually two major gold deposits on this line. So the Marathon Gold Valentine Lake project they continue to add ounces to that project. It's currently well over 4 million ounces, known gold deposit, like National Instrument 43-101 compliant. There's no guesswork there. Like mm-hmm. They're building a mine. It's the largest undeveloped gold resource in Atlantic, Canada. They continue to add ounces, and they're going to be opening up a mine in I think it's 2023, if not 22. Like multi-million ounce deposit. We're their next door neighbor with Golden Rose. So like we could not be closer to the biggest gold deposit in the entire region, in a prolific region.
Okay. That's
amazing. Like our neighbor is a huge gold mine to be. And on the other side, if you look at the bottom left here, Matador Mining, who you mentioned, they're listed on the Australian exchange. They have it's now up to about 840,000 ounces of gold. And I think that's probably Australian JORC compliant. Yep. So like our property, Golden Rose, which runs along 45 kilometers strike length of this blue line, this structural corridor, is sandwiched between two major deposits. Mm-hmm. No one else is it's Matador, us, Marathon. So I mean, that's like terrific positioning to be in. And then further up, and let me see if I can find the good slide for this. I mean, I think this will indicate the proximity to your to everyone watching this. Really, we're the blue. Mm-hmm. Marathon is the red. Okay. So we're like, you can't really ask for much closer to them. And keep in mind, you could say, oh, well, you could be on the top of their project, you could be below. Well, sure. But those aren't along the shear zone. And so I'm not a geologist, but I've had to learn quite a lot over the last, 8 or 9 months. You want to be on the dotted line. You want to be on the black dotted line because that's where the gold is. And if you look on this map, all those little mini red dots here along the line, those are all gold showings. And so you can see we have a number here along Golden Rose along the strike length.
Yeah.
The way the shear zone was described to me by someone who's got probably 20, 30 years of experience on me is it's a string of pearls. So you don't find a single pit that has 5 million ounces of gold. Mm-hmm. What Marathon even have? Marathon's 4 million ounces. They have a 1 million ounce pit or a 1 million ounce deposit. They have a 500,000 ounce. They have a 100,000 ounce. Mm-hmm. Okay. But when you add up, they've got 4 million ounces plus on their property. Mm-hmm. So for Golden Rose, we have 6 or 7 showings here across the property. And actually, this is a worthwhile picture image too. We've got already one known gold zone here on the property where there's been significant drilling. There's numbers here on the slide too. There's gold in the ground, good continuity of mineralization, which is key. And then we've got all these other showings that we haven't even had time to explore yet, nor has Altius, who optioned us the property, Jen's Pond, Jacob Pond, Mink Pond, Glimmer Pond, a lot of ponds on the property, evidently.
Yeah.
And all of these are where we're going to look to say, well, do we have a string of pearls on our property, right? Do we have a whole bunch of small deposits, mid-sized deposits, ideally a couple large deposits? It's too early to say, right? I'm not going to speculate and say it's all filled with gold. But again, to go back to this, Marathon's property is all filled with gold.
Yeah. But what are the next steps? Because I think you at the end the proof is in the drilling, right? So you will need to, with whatever you do, and hopefully you can explain it, the next steps to identify the drill targets. Yeah, are you already working on identifying the drill targets? How will you do that? Because there are already some grab samples. So what will be the next steps? The next kind of the summer working program? Yeah, when are you planning to drill? Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit early, but let's tell us a little bit about the work going on over the next couple of months.
Okay. Golden Rose it's our flagship asset. We have to do, here's the terms of our option agreement. We have to spend $3 million in exploration work over the next few years. We already have budgeted, what is it? I think $1.6 million this year alone to explore Golden Rose. And this is all like, we are trying to be systematic in how we approach it, taking in, I guess without getting too far sidetracked, we've announced that we're doing a $3.5 million flow through raise led by Eric Sprott. That's going to bring a lot of money into the company, and that money, in order to be tax advantaged, it must go to exploration.
Yeah.
So we're going to have more, I don't want to say more money than we know what to do with, because we'll put it to good use, but we'll put it to good use with discipline, which I think is important. And on Golden Rose here, what we're thinking is over the next several months, the next couple, Q2, Q3, is get out there, do a lot of surface work on these various showings to do things like you mentioned, do soil sampling, trenching, geophysical work, cover the ground and get a sense of how many Woods Lake zones are on our property. Woods Lake is where there's been historical drilling, and with with good gold grades. That's going to be the first target for drilling. It's a no-brainer because there's already been quite a bit of drilling there. We know it's like a very good location to start. It's a great drill target. That's going to probably come around late Q3, early Q4. We are planning, based on our tech report, a 5,000 meter drill program for later in the year.
Okay.
The reason we don't want to go rush into it is, maybe there's two reasons. Number one is to be prudent with our capital. So, not just go drilling blindly and blow through the treasury. But number two is, what if we find a better target in doing all the surface work on any of these other showings along the property? Because there's probably 6 or 7 zones we should be exploring. And so to be disciplined and systematic with it, let's get some good ground coverage. We're going to have ample capital to do it. And those things are less work, less dollar intensive. Let's go get really good ground coverage, see what's out there. Then when we run a drilling program, maybe we have a couple of drills growing on the program. Maybe we all target 1 or 2 zones that we think are most prospective to host significant gold mineralization, potentially deposits. That's how we're going to approach the exploration program at Golden Rose.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, is this can you do the exploration work year round, or is there kind of a break in between?
So ground level work is best done in the summer in Newfoundland.
Okay.
Because it's I wouldn't say it's nice and warm, but it's nicer and warmer than the winter. In the winter, it's hard to do groundwork like prospecting, magnetic surveys, because there is a lot of snow in central Newfoundland.
Okay.
But drilling can go year round.
Okay.
So with our VP of VP property development, our exploration manager, both guys, they have about 30 plus years experience, both Newfoundland residents, so they live in Newfoundland near our projects. We've carefully mapped out an exploration program across our properties to take advantage of the environmental condition, or I wouldn't say take advantage, but we want to work around the environmental conditions so that we can be working year round. And so Golden Rose, that's why we think do the surface work now, get a good handle on and then run drilling over the course of the winter.
Yeah, makes sense.
And just maybe I'll touch on the one other main project that we've got in the company, which is also, I think, a highly prospective property.
Sure.
And plays into your questions about when is drilling coming in the seasons. If you look along this blue line to go back here, the shear zone, you can see towards the top here, we've got Sockleman Minerals. They're drilling very high grade gold. Well, right beside them, we have a project, or sorry, I should say close to them, we have a project called Twilight Gold, which is also on the shear zone. So this kind of indicates there's a diagonal line here. We've got Cape Ray. Here's our Golden Rose. Here's Marathon.
Yep.
Here's our Twilight Gold project, and here's Sockman's Moosehead. And so you can see, like, there's some quite some good numbers out of Twilight, high grade grab samples. We did a little bit of work at Twilight late last year, right after we acquired it. We did some geophysical work, a ground mag survey, and we identified a very promising drill target on Twilight, which again is on the structural corridor. So we're on the dotted line here. So we identified, we did 3D modeling. We have some very good technical people working with us, fortunately, and we identified a very good drill target on Twilight, which is more advanced than Golden Rose in terms of, we can get out to Twilight and do this work sooner because of all the historical work that was done. So work done on someone else's dime. And there's this whole structure here that's at least 475 meters in depth. It runs about 600 meters along the surface. So there's a very long structure, which may or may not tie into that dotted line, we think.
Okay, yeah.
Where there's been historical drilling, and at the top of the structure, very shallow drilling, has hit gold time and time again. So, we're going to go drilling around here sooner than later. We've already got permits now. In order to see what do we have on the Twilight project. So you can think of it sequentially as like, let's get drilling at Twilight soon, where we're permitted, where there's been historical drilling that we can target, where we're kind of, there's a very good target to start with. In the meantime, continue to do surface work at Golden Rose to delineate as many good drill targets on that property as possible. And then by the time you're like late Q3, Q4, get drilling on Golden Rose. Okay. So, they're like, I think there's a lot of exploration catalysts. And so in addition to the fact we're well financed and have a great team, we've got great properties, highly prospective. Those I think would be the reason to invest in TRU.
And compared to some of the other ones, you have a really low market cap right now. Yeah, I think we're around the 20 million Canadian level. So that's something to also keep in mind. Right. Great chart, right? So Newfound Gold, yes, they are a great company, no doubt, but hey, they're at 1.4 billion, right? So one of the smaller ones, besides K9 Gold, which is also very much known over here in Germany and exploits discovery, you are one of the companies with the lowest market caps around. Is that right?
Yeah, it's funny because I get asked this question all the time, and I say, well, I'm the CEO, so it's my job to say we're undervalued. I think, the way I do look at it is we're growing into a market cap that's closer to being in line with comps, but I believe there's a lot of upside potential left. I think our market cap, like you said, probably around 22, 23 mil. I mean, this slide is from May 10th when we priced this, and in the last month or 3 weeks, a lot of these numbers have gone up, right? So you probably got like Exploits, Sockman Lab. They're probably around 100 mil, 80 to 100 million now market cap. K9 is probably higher now, probably 30 plus mil. Yeah. So TRU is also higher, right? We're around the low 20s. We think there's a lot of upside potential because we've only resumed trading a couple of weeks ago, as you mentioned. We've barely gotten out to our properties. We're just setting up to set foot on our properties. So we've barely even done exploration on our properties. And because we've been going through this relaunch of the company, it was a TSX Venture change of business, our option deal with Altius, we raised $3.5 million. There were a lot of things going on earlier this year that we had to set up a proper corporate structure and cap structure to move the company forward. Well, now we're free to actually go out and do work that we told people we do. And those are some of the value drivers, is get on, like you say, get on our properties, get drilling, get exploring, see how we can develop the properties, what's there. Those things should boost our market cap because then we should be approaching the companies larger than us who have a year, 2 years on us in terms of exploration. So that's what I mean. Like, we have a lot of runway. We're well financed to do it. Now it's our job to execute with discipline, but move aggressively and quickly to grow into a market cap that we should be able to attain relative to our comps and relative to the merit of what we've got in our company.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that you're really doing or going to do some work, because I can imagine, yeah, that's because I'm dealing with Canadians for like 20 years, yeah, that some of the companies are just staking claims there to be part of the area area play and get a higher valuation because some of their neighbors had good results. Just saying, right? Just by 2 cents.
Yeah, no comment on my end.
No, and that's my, but I've seen it all, right? So, but anyway, so it's good to hear that you are going to put some work into the ground, because as I said, yeah, at the end the truth is in the drill rig, or at the end of the drill rig, or the core. Let me ask you another question. With all these companies being around, I got aware that they've kind of formed this alliance, the Newfoundland Gold Alliance. Are you already part of it? Are you planning to be part of it? And what do you see as the biggest advantages? So I can think that it's more like the political, let's say, situation and dealing with, let's say, community relations, yeah, which helps if you're part of a bigger group, or what are your thoughts about that?
We've looked at Newfoundland Gold Alliance, and I've been in touch with their founder, and she's terrific, Janet Lee Sheriff. We haven't joined it yet. It is something we evaluate as part of basically part of like our marketing and publicity budget, and we evaluate where our dollars are best spent, we think, in terms of getting the word out about the company. Yep. I do see people are continuing to sign on, and I think the founder is also quite well connected, and she set it up, so it is something we're entertaining. Okay. But we want to make sure any initiatives we undertake fit within our marketing budget and where we plan to focus the company.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. Yeah, I like the idea of being part of this alliance, yeah, to drive the whole area forward, but it has to make sense for an individual company, right? As you said, right? Dollars are, even if you are in a good, let's say, cash situation, yeah, you have to spend it wisely, and it's better to me, it's better to spend money in the ground than throwing it to these alliance guys, right? Because my thinking,
I wouldn't necessarily say that. There's a good, right, as you, Michael, like very well, right? Like there has to be a good mix from any public company of marketing, exploration, exactly. Personnel. You kind of need financing. You need to do it all, I think, to be a successful junior public company and to stand out over time.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. There was one other thing.
Luckily we're able to work with you on that as well, which was great.
You're welcome. So there was one other thing on my agenda. Oh, here. There's this running gag. I'm not sure if you saw that in one of my previous videos. You can see this crystal ball. It's a crystal ball. Yeah. So take a look at this crystal ball and tell me, is there in the future, do you see a lot of consolidation going on in this sector? Because there are some of the bigger ones. Are they just going to eat up some of the smaller ones? Is one of the real big majors going to, like Gold Corp, coming in? Or what's your, let's say, if you take a look at this gold belt in 5 to 10 years, so where do you see it?
Yeah, it's a great question, particularly because, which I love addressing, because as I mentioned at the outset, my background is as a securities and mergers lawyer. So, we definitely want to go do exploration, drilling. We have to raise financing, but I'm not looking to just go blow the treasury, in 2 months. And then that's kind of the end of the show. We think there's a lot of ways to create value through M&A and consolidation. Mm-hmm. Through corporate activity, and which actually it's at the bottom of the slide here. We evaluate from time to time ways to divest non-core properties to bring in money, but going the other way, which is what you're suggesting, we absolutely look at consolidation opportunities. I wouldn't say we're big enough to be a primary consolidator. There are companies with far greater resources and size than us, but at our scale, we can still do consolidation. I mean, by that specifically, consolidating at a property level. So identifying which of our properties are core, and I've certainly talked quite a bit about Gold and Rose here in Twilight. Consolidating land around core property packages is property level M&A, which is certainly something that's very much on our radar. And we did it before, right? Between September and January, acquired 5 properties in 5 months. I'd say pretty aggressive clip through transactions, not all through staking. And also corporate level M&A, we do talk to some of our competitors / peers, and ask them, well, what are you guys doing? What's your strategy? Would there be a merger opportunity that makes sense for us to scale up, to increase our market cap, visibility, access to technical resources, and medium to longer term? I think it's a safe bet that there will be more consolidation in the gold belt. There are just too many, there are many companies out there. Not all of them have the best properties. It's just not possible. I think there will be consolidation. I think there will eventually be M&A. If you look at like a Marathon, they have Pierre Lassonde in their shareholder base, who's affiliated with Franco-Nevada. Franco has a royalty on their mine. Like Altius is our largest shareholder. They're in a 700 million, 800 million market cap TSX company. There are, bits and pieces of majors and mid-tiers certainly aware of the space. And I know for a Golden Rose project, we were bidding to get it from Altius. We were bidding against people who we don't know, but we were told we beat out, very fortunately, a number of companies that are more established brand names in the industry. And so they can't possibly all be juniors. So there's definitely, it's impossible to ignore the gold belt right now, the Central Newfoundland Gold Belt. And the trend will only continue as more and more discovery results come out from companies around us and from companies like us. And I think it's inevitable that you will see consolidation within the belt, as well as mid-tiers and maybe larger players start to look a bit more seriously, especially as resources are developed, at really taking positions in the gold belt. I think Sprott's probably an earlier mover, right? Sprott's not the end of the cycle. Sprott's probably earlier in the cycle. Yeah. So that probably tells you there's a lot of runway ahead. He's a much savvier and wealthier guy than I am. So there must be some good runway ahead for the sector and the region.
Yeah.
And for TRU,
yeah. Okay. Great. So let me kind of might give you my 2 cents. So the area is hot, and it's hot for a reason. Yeah, there have been already some success stories where people made or tripled or quadrupled their money. My feeling is that you have to search or diversify into some of the other companies. Yeah, one of them, I did that. I'm invested in, I think, 3 or 4 companies that are working in the belt, and that's what I would suggest to my viewers too. But at least, take a closer look at some of the companies and try to find the good or diversify the good companies compared to what I call just area plays, right? So go check out the website of TRU Precious Metals. It's trupreciousmetals.com. I will also link that somewhere around that video, because to me it's key that you get yourself familiar with the specifics, as Joel pointed out. It's about the projects. It's not that you're somewhere in the gold belt, right? If you're somewhere in Newfoundland, that doesn't give you anything, right? You have to be in the right location. And I think Joel made very clear why he feels that TRU with the 2 projects is exactly in the right geology, in the right area. But so I have a pretty good feeling. I will commit you to, whenever there's some fundamental things going on in the company, that we are going to do an update. This was the initial video interview where people get aware of the full story. And I commit you that we are going to do updates on video for my audience. And as always, the stage is yours for famous last words.
Famous last words. My goodness, it's really put to me. I think we put together an excellent team. We've literally hired the best people we can possibly attain to join the company. We're very well financed, both hard dollars and incoming flow through dollars, which is excellent for a junior. We've got 2 properties. I think we have 5 properties, but we've got 2 on the shear zone. So we've got 2 properties on the best street in the neighborhood. Terrific. And the team here, led by me, but it's a full team. Everyone is relentless, and we got our tagline, but we are relentlessly working to unlock shareholder value. And that's the truth. So maybe that's my closing here, but we're hustling, right? We have a real job to do here. It's up to us to come to work every day and do the best we can to grow this company, grow the market cap, deliver return for our shareholders, and ideally make a couple of nice discoveries on our properties. So we're up to the task, and we're getting to work, and we hope you'll keep an eye on us.
I will for sure. So thank you very much. Yeah, I keep fingers crossed. And by the way, this video is taped on Friday, May 28th. I think. Yeah, 28th. So
Yeah.
so from my end, have a great weekend. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talk to you soon. Thanks, Joel.
Thanks for the opportunity, Michael. Very much appreciate it.